Good evening, esteemed members of the Synapse Society. A very warm welcome to all of you to this enlightening and crucial discussion on a topic of immense significance: caste, religion, and racial discrimination. In the embrace of dialogue, the shadows of ignorance and prejudice fade, and the light of understanding shines through, illuminating the path to a world free from the shackles of discrimination. I am Simriddhi Kashyap, your host, accompanied by Ayush Khare, your co host. It's an honor for us to be before you as your hosts for this evening's discourse. As the Synapse Society of IITM BS degree, we are committed to fostering a culture of open dialogue, critical thinking, and awareness about the multifaceted issues that shape our world, and group discussion is a way for us to promote the same. A group discussion is basically a structured conversation involving multiple participants sharing their thoughts, ideas, and opinions on a specific topic, often conducted by Synapse to promote critical thinking, communication skills, and collaborative problem solving. So, our group discussion is actually the round one of the fourth event of our socio-cultural gala, which we are conducting this and the following week. The round two will be a debate among two teams consisting of two participants each, which will be held on 16th of August. The topic of the debate will be communicated to the winners after this discussion. So we would be walking over to the rules, and let me quickly walk you all through the rules. Rule 1: each participant will be speaking for 2 minutes only in each turn. Extra time might be granted at the discretion of the host. This is done so that each participant gets a fair chance to put forward their opinion. Rule 2: participants are requested to not interrupt while their fellow participant is speaking. Do not make negative remarks on each other. Kindly maintain the decorum of the discussion to promote a positive discussion, and kindly raise your hands to speak. Participants will be invited to speak from the queue. Rule number 3: we believe thoughts should not be restricted by the mode of language. Hence, the participants may either use English or Hindi to express their viewpoints. Avoid repeating the points others have already stated. Rule number 4: we will be awarding certificates to those who have put their points well in the discussion. Hence, participants must be members of Synapse Society in order to claim their participating certificates for this discussion. If you are not a member of the society, then kindly fill the G form provided in the chat box. So today, all of us have gathered here to delve into the intricate complexities of caste, religion, and racial discrimination, themes that have left indelible imprints on the fabric of societies across time and geography. Each viewpoint shared, every idea discussed, and every question raised will contribute to our collective understanding of these critical issues. So, I would be starting the discussion. If any of you wants to put forward their point, kindly raise your hands and we will invite you to speak. In this ever evolving world, it is imperative that we confront and engage with uncomfortable truths. The discrimination faced by the individuals based on their caste, religious beliefs, or racial identity is not a violation of human rights, but also a stark reminder of the systemic challenges that still persist. As the advocates of the change and progress, it's our responsibility to and facilitate the conversations that lead us towards a more inclusive, equitable, and harmonious society. Throughout history, brave individuals and movements have fought tirelessly to challenge these forms of discrimination, be it Dr. B.R. Ambedkar or Nelson Mandela. But the journey is far from over. Today, we stand at the crossroads, armed with knowledge, empathy, and the collective will to address these deeply rooted issues. This discussion aims to be a catalyst for transformation, a platform where diverse perspectives intersect and where we collectively work towards understanding, healing, and breaking down the barriers. So, anyone would like to continue?
Soham, you can proceed ahead.
I thank Synapse for the opportunity given to me to present my views on the topic. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Okay. So may I start?
Yeah, sure.
I'm starting. Caste, religion, and racial discrimination is a highly complex issue. While many say that casteism is bad and it must be stopped, it is not so easy. After all, why can no one not speak against someone in a democracy? The right to freedom of speech and expression guarantees that any person A can treat any person B in any way he or she wishes, provided person B's rights are not affected. However, in the real world, person B's rights are affected. For example, honor killings. It therefore becomes necessary to take steps against discrimination. This includes providing cheap education to the backward class, among many others, and reservation, which is an extreme measure to stop casteism. Reservation in its own sense is a controversial topic, as people of the non-backward classes are made to feel that they are bad for society just because they are born into the non-backward sections. The same goes with religion. Religion can be considered as a superset of many castes who follow some common customs. It is possible that two people of the same caste follow two different religions, but such cases are rare. Racial discrimination is not so prevalent in India as it is in other parts of the world, as black people who are often the objects of slavery. Many people say that in marriage, dark-skinned females are left out. I am sorry for the dark skin, but we cannot force one to marry any person. It is against his individual rights. However, if a person A decides to marry another dark-skinned person B, no other person has any right to interfere. Obviously, they may give their views, but no breach of individual rights should be tolerated. In my opinion, reservation does not help, as it is a measure taken by the government, and the government offices account only for a small percentage of the total employed population. In my opinion, only urbanization can help. If people move towards consumerism and don't have time to think about castes, with the economy shifting to a situation where casteism is detrimental for people's finances, then only can casteism and the castes disappear. Casteism, religious, and racial discrimination are so surely a problem for the economy, and hence the government is leaving no steps unturned to remove the problems from its roots. Many people may shout out that their culture must be protected, but their voices are too faint and not backed by economic means, hence are not heard by the government. I thank Synapse Society and end my speech here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Soham, for sharing us your views. Next, we have Tanishq Oja in the line. So, Tanishq, you may speak.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. So I'll start with the previous speaker who said that reservation is just a government thing, and urbanization can help us reduce caste, religion, and racial discrimination. I think it's wrong in some sense because the only the only way we can uh, give power or uh, basically give right to lower caste, backward caste religions and the racial dark skinned people or anyone who is facing discrimination in the society. Power is through reservation and putting them on the uh, basically positions that can so that they can take decisions for their community as well as people who are more backward within their community. So suppose if I take the example of Indian society, there are Dalits and then there are subdivision of Dalits as well. I belong from Madhya Pradesh, so here there is a vast sort of communism within Dalits. So basically, there are layers in Dalits, and the high class Dalits, within Dalits, the high class, they get most of the powers and position, including the seats from basically legislative seats for MP-ship and MLA-ship, what we call it. And there the difference between the lower Dalits and the upper Dalits are just widening and widening, and there is no way to stop it other than giving them reservations. Yeah, we see many people from their community misusing uh, the reservations, but those numbers are very less, and and if we don't give reservations to them, and I belong from a like upper caste, and I have been given and my whole ancestral family has been given opportunities from way back. Like uh, I am the fifth generation who has farming lands, but compared to the same, I cannot say the same for a Dalit family. That's the difference basically. So regarding the point of racial discrimination, religion discrimination, I think the recent example of Haryana violence, everyone has seen it, and Manipur violence, of course, but Haryana violence have a very key point, right? Since after independence, Mewat has never faced any violence, but in recent years, of course, I'm not naming any government, but the particular government has been ruling there, and they, I'm not saying that they are sponsoring it or anything, but it's a very uh, recognized pattern that some places are facing and some a special community has been targeted there. And since we have the demographics there, suggest that the Muslims there are actually converted from Jats that are Hindus basically, and still practice some Hindu rituals. So that's the reason where government also not government, but the for some political parties for their uh, vote reason or anything like that, sponsors or powers that or profits from the discrimination, dividation between two religions or two communities, and captures audience who are feel themselves vulnerable to the situation. I will conclude there. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanish, for sharing us your insights. Chhatrapal Singh Rathore, would you like to go next?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, and so the first person who spoke, he mentioned that racial discrimination is not very prevalent in India, though I do believe it doesn't has that prominence as seen in other countries such as US. But I think it does have deep-rooted social issues caused by it, and it's not. We cannot say it's not prevalent in India, and also I think it's racial discrimination in itself has been such a deep-rooted issue that we forget to see how it affects us. For example, if you see for not many decades, Fair and Lovely wasn't seen, and there wasn't anything problematic to be seen in it, and people were just okay with it, and they went with it. And even today, you might encounter someone saying that you're your color is too dark and you should be working towards making it more lighter, inherently making others feel that that color in itself is a wrong thing and you shouldn't be that way. So I guess racial discrimination is very, very deep rooted. It has a lot of it does has a potential to cause a lot of psychological issues and trauma for some sense. And I think it should be taken seriously in a way. It should be dealt with. And I think all of the discrimination we face is, and all of the divisions, I might say, is could be because of humans needing a sense of superiority and wanting some sort of dominance, some sort of prominence in society. And it does take ugly form when they're not, when a healthy competition isn't enforced. And then the divisions could be because of money, but most of the time it is because of the caste and culture. And it does tend to take things ugly. So my best bet, I believe, is to promote good education would be the best and the long-term solution to countering problems such as discrimination of on the basis of caste, color, or gender, any of such issues. That's what I have to say.
Okay. You said very important issue that is prevalent in our culture and society. Ishant, you are next. Would you like to go to speak in the next turn?
Hello, I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Yes. So I have heard previous speakers; they have speak very well. I would like to add some more points, mainly based on racial discrimination. Actually, I believe, unfortunately, India is one of the most racist country in the world. This can be evident from day-to-day incidences occurring in our country. Like you can take example of Northeast Indians. They are often they face discrimination on day-to-day basis. There have been many incidences of like North Indian migrating to different states of India, and they have faced such issues. And they have been in northeast part of India, unfortunately, have been ignored by our central government since a very long time. It can be evident. It is evident even from the recent occurrence of the Manipur violence. Uh, Unfortunately, our media greatly ignored that incident. That was a very huge incident, but media was by usually ignoring that. Not that just Northeast India, even when you take example of the Biharis, Biharis are often face discrimination. Often Biharis who migrate to different states such a better opportunity. Even I am myself from Bihar. I have seen such incidences of racial discrimination. We are often stereotyped as backward, like poor, and often associated with crimes. And there has also been very many racial incidences of like occurring against the Black Africans who have come to India. And just this is racial discrimination is not just against the other skin color. We often even don't like our skin color as well. Like even our which is our brown, most of the Indian which have brown skin color often as associated with like some lower status. Like even take example of there are various advertisements where they show like you are unattractive if you are brown skin or dark color, and for some weird reason like white skin is considered superior to the dark skin color. So these are the examples which I like to address. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks a lot, Ishant. Pradeep Mishra, you are next up in the queue. Would you like to go next? Pradeep Mishra. I guess he's not present, so we would move on to the next participant, Dontu Ganesh Raja. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You may go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, good evening, one and all. My name is Ganesh Raja. Yeah, I want to speak about caste. Actually, one of my friend is a law student. He told me how the caste is increasing in India day by day. Actually, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has brought the laws to uplift the low-level caste to higher. But unfortunately, the politicians used that as a scheme to offer the people. If you put up the votes for the party, then we will give the reservation system for more time. And more time like that they offered it as a scheme, as a government scheme, not as a public welfare thing. So it becomes from then it has become as government scheme. Then onwards the government became put up the laws for the reservation systems for each and separated as different categories in the caste. When after I mean when comes to racial discrimination in India, about before one participant Ishant has said about Northeast is not considered by the central government. I'm sorry to hear, but I don't know about Northeast. When coming to South India, I have not seen much racial discrimination. And also about religion, same in South India, religion also I have not seen much as the barrier between the people. So with this I rest my case.
All right, Ganesh. Thank you for speaking with us. Harshvardhan Rai, you are next. Harshvardhan. Oh.
Hello, I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I heard the speakers before me and I appreciate their points. But we are discussing caste, religion, and racial discrimination and the dimensions and solutions to it. So I'll try to stick with the dimension and solutions and the societal aspect of it and not go to what government has done or has not done. Having said that, it is important to understand that all three types of discriminations that we are discussing are radically different. Caste discrimination started with the advent of Vedas when the division of labor was institutionalized by creating four varnas to do four respective jobs. With coming of Aryans and emergence of the modern society, this discrimination on the basis of varnas got transition into discrimination on basis of jatis or caste, as we say it. Now, when we come to the religious discrimination, although few people think it is a quite a new concept emerged after the Islamic advent in India, but that's not the case. Religious discrimination has been an age-old concept in India. With the emergence of Buddhism, Jainism, Ajivikas, the discrimination has been going on from the ancient India only. Having told about these two things, racial discrimination specifically is quite a new thing in India. The modern concept of India, the nation state of India, emerged mostly during the freedom struggle. This is when all of the India as we see it today got united. And during these period of time, North Indians, Dravidians, and North Indians worked together to throw out the Britishers. But after we got independence, there was a sense of insecurity between all these three sects, and there have cases of discrimination. And as the speakers mentioned earlier, the Biharis have faced discrimination in Maharashtra, the Northeasterns have faced discrimination here in Delhi, etc. Having told how these discriminations have emerged and how they have come into our society, if we specifically speak about the modern concept of these discrimination, why they are existing today, the only reason for existence of all these three types of discrimination matter is because of a sense of insecurity among the people. Myself, and when I go out in my community, I find many people who are insecure of people from different religion, who are insecure of people from lower castes. They think that people from different religion, different race, they are taking up their jobs, their education, and we are being hurt by the positive influence, positive development of the other sects and other religion. The insecurity has been growing in past few years. I'm not making a political statement as per se, but it has been quite evident that insecurity and the fear among people has increased. Coming to the solutions, the only way to all these discrimination is interacting with more people. No top-down approach can ever be solution to these discrimination. For example, the speakers before me mentioned about reservation. Reservation is not a new concept. Reservation did not come with Mandal Commission in 1989. Reservation did not even come with the advent of our constitution. Reservation was started in 1932 during the second roundtable conference. B.R. Ambedkar asked for a separate electorate, and Mahatma Gandhi negotiated with him. He went on to fast unto death, and the result of the negotiation was that reservation for the depressed class back then, which now we know as the scheduled caste, was created. Since 1932, it has been 90 years now, and still the social justice that we promised to the depressed class has not been provided. Yes, scheduled caste have uplifted economically. Yes, they have benefited a lot from reservation. And obviously, speaking from the perspective of an upper caste person, obviously the implementation of the reservation policies could have been better, no doubt. But the social justice that we promised, the social justice that Baba Sahib and Mahatma Gandhi dreamed of, has still not been achieved. We still are insecure from the Dalits. The untouchability is still evident in the rural parts of India. The religious discrimination too, if we come to that, we had made so many provisions so as to bring together the two major communities of our country together, and yet the divide still exists. Even after 1,000 years of being living together, we still have a divide among us. So the only way of eradicating this discrimination can be the bottoms-up approach, interacting with people, the debates like we are having today. We interact with people from different communities. We start to understand them. We start to feel their pain. And we start to appreciate what has been done up until now and what we have to do in the future to make the country better, to bring all of people together. So that's one step to go ahead, like debating, discussing, having, and even the debates when they get heated, it's good. It's good that we debate with each other. We get angry with each other. We are just understanding each other. We are just in the process of understanding each other. So we have to accept that. We have to interact more. Secondly, this solution, it's not going to give us a result in 2 years or 20 years even. It's a long-term solution, and it's a long-term goal to achieve the social and political justice for everyone, as mentioned in our preamble. But for an immediate aspect, I think the policies the government has implemented up until now, the policies that have worked and those that have not worked, should be rethought, should be debated again. Our parliamentarians have to relook all those things. They have to put their privileges at stake. They have to risk their positions so as to listen to people, so as to see what works for them, what not works for them. We cannot let fear win. We cannot let fear win. I'm reiterating it. I'm sorry, I'm taking too much of time. If host can indulge for a little more, I'll just summarize it. Every discrimination that exists as of now in India is only because of fear. And only by eradicating the fear within us can we eradicate the discrimination. A general category, Hindu, has to be fearless from a Dalit or a Muslim. A North Indian has to be fearless about their jobs, their security. No Dravidian is going to take away the job of a New Delhi candidate if he is good enough. We have to accept these things. We have to accept that. Moreover, and this is my final point, I'm just going to conclude. There is a perception among people that the policies of the government still now, of the leaders till now, uh, has been of influencing a certain section. I must say, of pleasing a certain specific sections and disregarding the good of the people, good of the majority, and etc. I have to mention one thing here, that Shudras as a Varna have been deprived for more than 2000 years. The Northeastern people have been discriminated by the rest of the India for more than 75 years now. It is up to us. It is up to us to negate that, to make a better future. So if decisions are taken that hurt us a little bit, yes, we have to accept them for the greater good. The social justice, as mentioned in the preamble, cannot be achieved without making small sacrifices. We have to make those small sacrifices. We cannot just ignore what we have done up until now and then expect the best future, for the brilliant future for us, without working on what we have done up until now. We have to look into the past. The past cannot be ignored. That's all from my side. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Thank you, Harshvardhan. Your speech was very insightful. And yes, we like to have people like you to speak on such critical topics. Next, we have Pradeep Mishra. Pradeep Mishra, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, you may go.
Can I start?
Yes, you may go next.
I like to give my point of view on caste and racial discriminations. This form of discrimination have been deep and historical roots, impacting various aspects of society. When we consider about racial discriminations, these discriminations has been seen in our newspapers, and in the have a history belong this. But no, we are still do not find the what the perfect solution on this. When we see that in our history, for example, US history, and see that Nelson Mandela sir, how he overcome this discrimination, how we fight for them. It is a very critical topic for our society. When you are taking of other example of caste discrimination, this type of discrimination is still in very happening in most part of the country. This type of discrimination is coming up when there is elections is happening. When we see it in the rural area, mostly in the villages, there is still this type of discrimination is exist. For example, when you are belong to upper caste, you and other is belonging to lower caste. Lower caste can't be sit with upper caste. Has been seen in the newspaper or somewhere we are read it. As we know that, but other point of this is our generation is all also following these points, and we can't remove these points, and government implementing the policies to overcome these issues, but it can't be work as much. To my point, how to overcome this point is the education. Education is a very game changer to overcome this point. For example, we considering in older days, when there is a king, either he belonging to very lower caste. If he has a power and a potential, no one can ask him his caste. Every upper caste can sit with him and eat with him and drink with him. No one just giving discrimination. You are belonging to lower caste because he's a power, he has a money. And for example, in the today's day, we are can't if Mukesh Ambani sir belongs to some lower caste, and if he go for some events of the upper caste, he is happy to, and he just declared that Ambani sir come because of his money, his power. Everything is come from the money and power. This can be achieved by the education. If you doesn't have education, you still facing this problem. The government can't do, you have to overcome yourself. Government just giving us some platform potentials, implementing some policies. But which policies government are still following are indirectly promoting these things. For example, when taking in various fixed government jobs, admission in IITs, any other institute, we see there is ST caste discrimination, which indirectly promoting this, and someone facing this discrimination are very existing in our country. We have to remove this and giving all of one reservation and giving so we can remove this. We can't have sitting with fans and saying these discriminations working, because this discrimination is very crucial for our upcoming generation. We see that in our various parts of country, various things is happening which is because of these discriminations. Some of the politicians also following this discrimination divide and rule, and they're gaining a vote on the basis of their caste. They doesn't man know what he's done, what is his power, or what the policies make, and they just for her their caste, and they're giving the support. These things are not for our good, for our upcoming generation, and for our implementation and nourishment of our country. This thing has to be removed. To remove this thing, the education is a very game changer and very fruitful point. Thank you. My point is that.
Thanks a lot, Pradeep. Next, we have Ayush Khare. So, Ayush, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you so much, Samriddhi. A very warm evening to one and all. I was supposed to be the co-host of this meeting, but I'm participating because the topic is really fiery. Okay. So any one of you, like Harsh, I guess, had stated how discrimination came into existence. Like thousands of years ago, the discrimination was actually formulated. The factuality was correct about that thing. If you look at the modern India in 1860, around 1860, I don't remember the exact year, but around 1860, the British government had inculcated the caste system in the Indian, Indian peninsula. So since then, it has been prevalent on the Indian peninsula, since 1860. But during 1920, as someone had stated that the reservation was for the first time formulated in 1933. Someone had stated. So that's actually wrong. During 1920, around the 1920, if I remember the exact year was 1919. In 1919, some protests were being carried out in the Madras constituency, and the we can call him the leader of that particular Madras constituency of that British government. He basically had formulated a draft in which certain percentage of seats was reserved for scheduled caste, for scheduled tribes, and other different religions which were prevalent at that particular time. So that was the first time in 1919 where the reservation actually came into existence, which is a form of positive discrimination. If we look at, like, discrimination is mainly of two types, according to me, this is my personal viewpoint. The first one is negative discrimination, where basically people are directly beaten up, where basically untouchability is promoted. This is the form of negative discrimination. And the other is positive discrimination, which we can see nowadays, where a reservation is provided in government, educational institutions, and job opportunities are provided only to the lower castes. So this is a kind of a positive discrimination. Reservation is a kind of a positive discrimination, is all what I feel. So positive discrimination, that is, reservation came into existence for the first time in 1990, and nationally it was implemented in 1933, as someone had already stated. The viceroy of that particular time had formulated a document, and it was nationally introduced. The positive discrimination, which is indirectly the reservation. And if you look at the modern time now, historically, this caste system had been formulated thousands of years ago. In today's age, like according to many websites, I might be wrong over here in statistics, but like there are approximately 3,000 castes and 25,000 subcastes, existing in India in the current age. So this is how the caste discrimination, religion discrimination, and racial discrimination is prevalent. Now, if you look at another categories of discrimination, like I have already stated what negative discrimination and what positive discrimination is. But there are again more kind of categories of discrimination. The first I would like to state is economic discrimination, where basically when you provide a reservation to a certain caste or to a certain religion of the community, it leads to economic instability of the society. Like I have some stats in front of me. According to the stats, 36.3% people own no land at all in India. Okay. And 60.6% of the people own 15% of the land, 15% of the land. And only 3% people own 15% of the land. So this shows like how economic stability, instability has been, an outcome of discrimination at the same time. The next one is geographical discrimination at the same time. Like as I belong from Maharashtra, recently Aurangabad was renamed as Sambhajinagar, and even Nagpur was decided as the vice capital of Maharashtra a few years ago. So that was because of the geographical discrimination. And the second, one more category, what I feel is linguistic discrimination, where basically boundaries are created between people, between states, and between countries on the basis of which language they speak. So basically, all these categories of discrimination, the first one is negative discrimination, where they are beaten up, where untouchability is promoted. Like I had been to Jaipur a few years ago, and there was a temple. I don't remember the name of the temple, but a couple, a family who was basically belonging to a lower caste. They just tried to enter that temple. Okay, they were a local from that area. They just tried to enter that temple, and they were publicly beaten for the reason, because they were trying to enter the temple. So this is negative discrimination, which should strictly be avoided. The second is positive discrimination, which doesn't promote untouchability in a direct sense, but it provides reservation to the to the lower castes, like for example, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and so on, Muslims, and other castes, other subcastes as well. So this is a form of positive discrimination. The next is economic discrimination, which leads to economic instability, as I've already stated the statistics. The next one is geographical discrimination, as I've already stated an example of Maharashtra. And the next one is linguistic discrimination. There are many examples prevalent in today's times. So this is what I wanted to say. This was basically the history of discrimination, racial and ethnic and caste discrimination. And when in my next turn, as I have taken a lot of time, in my next turn, I'll be speaking what the solutions actually are. So yeah, thank you for your time. Samriddhi, you can proceed to the next participant.
Thank you, Ayush. Next, we have Afra Fatima. So, Afra, would you like to speak next?
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. You may proceed now.
Yes, ma'am. Adding to the points that other people before me have already mentioned, I would just like to state the causes for the existence of discrimination in caste, religion, and racial manner. First and foremost, it would be historical factors, as we all know. Discrimination based on caste, religion, and race. It has existed in India for centuries. The system assigns a social status and occupational roles based on birth, leading to a perpetuation of social inequality. Similarly, historical conflicts and invasions, they have shaped religious and racial divides, which furthermore leads to discrimination and tensions among different communities. We also have socio-cultural factors, where social norms, traditions, their different cultural practices, they play a significant role in further perpetuating discrimination. The hierarchical nature of the caste system, it is deeply ingrained in Indian society. It influences marriage, occupation, social interactions, and even access to certain resources. Religious beliefs, rituals, and customs, they can also contribute to discrimination by reinforcing exclusivity and reinforcing notions of superiority or inferiority. We have different economic factors, political factors, and more important than that, we have ignorance and prejudice. It is basically lack of awareness and ignorance among individuals, which contributes mainly to discrimination, stereotypes, biases, and deeply ingrained beliefs about religion, race, and caste. These perpetuate discriminatory attitudes and behaviors against certain communities. Education, awareness campaigns, and promoting intercultural understanding can help challenge these prejudices. But overcoming caste, religion, and racial discrimination, it requires efforts from all sections of the society. It entails challenging deep-rooted beliefs, promoting social equality, and improving access to economic and education opportunities. and also fostering a culture of empathy, understanding, and respect for human rights. We mainly see religious discrimination in India, which is Hindu versus Muslims. Recent this past week, of how Muslims in India were treated, it is very disturbing to note that it is still prevalent in today's society. We cannot say that it is only a historical aspect and it is not prevalent today. We can say that maybe it is reduced now, but it is still very much prevalent in today's society, in today's times. And people, Muslims specifically, they face a lot of discrimination and discriminatory attitudes, especially in North India. Maybe I will not address each and every particular event that happened, but in a general view, I think I would conclude with that.
Thank you, Afra. And you are very much welcome to share your insights on the events in your next turn if you want to. Next, we have Ganesh Raja. Ganesh, are you there? I guess he has some network problem. Tanish Koja, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
So I'll continue. First of all, I agree to most of the point previous speakers. One thing that I can most say that social justice, we have not achieved social justice that B.R. Ambedkar and Gandhiji have imagined us to achieve at this point. Yes, I completely agree to that. But the reason behind not achieving the social justice is purely economical, and that is because we have not excelled in manufacturing as well as employment schemes. Today, the main reason of caste discrimination and somewhat of religion discrimination is based on resource sharing, where majority of the majority fears that minority will take all their resources because they have reservations, and that we have seen it a lot around us in recent times. So I personally think the only solution to this is caste census. Caste census will allow us to actually record every uh, record of that particular caste, be it financial, be it reservation related issues, or anything that fears the majority today. Being from uh, a good economic background, I have received a good education, regardless of having any reservation, benefit of reservation. But if I see around me, I have grown up with many friends who have not who didn't have the same opportunities, and they took the advantage of reservation and also uh, got to places through reservation and now are empowering their whole family. Uh, so that is a positive aspect of reservation. Regarding the fact that the discrimination among religion and caste has increased in uh, recent times, it's more because uh, of the majority uh, are fear mongers basically by the media and some and social media, of course, uh, and this creates a divide, uh, due to which, of course, there is a bad impression of reservation as well as to certain as a strata of the society. I conclude my point here.
Thank you, Tanishq. We next have Ishant. Ishant, would you like to speak next?
Yes, hello. Yeah,
Hello. Yes, you
yeah,
are audible.
yes. So in previous turn, I talked about the racial discrimination, and I also heard the previous speakers. Every speakers talk about the cultural and historical perspective. Now I will like to bring some unique perspective, which is prehistoric uh, factor associated with this problem. Like I will like to talk about the psychological aspect associated with mostly discrimination problem, which is the deep root. The deep root of this all discrimination problem is tribal mentality. Like there is a natural tendency in human beings to form strong connections based on shared identities and similar kind of uh, livelihood, which is stems from our prehistorical era. Uh, so this were practiced during this era. These were essential during that because it was necessary for our survival, which was crucial during that period. So tribal mentality is linked with us versus their mentality. Like mm, there are some biases against the another group of people. So and breaking this tribal mentality is not gonna be easy. It is very complex process which will require very huge determination and education, empathy are necessary. Mm, So it will take a very long process, long systematic process to overcome that. We have to promote inclusivity and overcome the stereotypes. So that's it. I would like to end my point.
Thank you, Ishant. Next, we have Harsh. Harsh, would you like to go next?
Yeah, thank you for letting me speak again. I have very few new points to add. Mostly, I want to discuss a few points raised by other speakers. The respected gentleman who spoke after me corrected a factual error from my side that reservation started from 1919 and not 1930. Thank you for that. There's one other fact that he mentioned that the caste system, the modern caste system was institutionalized by the Britishers in 1860s. I think this is one of the issues that we are facing today. The problems of the problems that we have been facing regarding the caste system predates Britishers. The specific modern caste system I'm speaking about. I'll just give you an example of it. Uh, as I mentioned earlier, that during the Vedic ages, four varnas were created: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Now, with time, the Brahman Varna was divided into a few sections. One of this section consisted of sages or rishis, as we say. They used to roam around in the country and they used to know about all the modern practices happening across the country and everything. So the Kshatriya Varna, in the respective area of dominance, used to invite these sages to settle down and implement the modern system of agriculture that has been prevailing in different parts of the countries. These sages or the Brahmins used to settle down with specific piece of land, and a new caste emerged. This is not Varna. This is a new caste that emerged called Bhumihar. This Bhumihar were Brahmins, but they used to do agriculture and all. They used to settle down. Now, these Bhumihar started to hire Shudras to do the manual labor jobs. Few of the Shudras emerged into different castes called Lohar, and a few emerged into different castes called, I don't know what they were called, but they were involved in manual scavenging. Now, the caste system developed in such a way that even the Lohar used to think of the manual scavengers as untouchable. So even among the Shudras, this caste hierarchy was created. So the caste system was not institutionalized by Britishers. It is our concept. We are the ones who have created, and we have to own up to that. It's not something that the colonial power imposed on us. So we have to take the responsibility that the upper caste of the time invented this hierarchy so as to suit them, and only to correct this historical injustice are the positive discrimination, as mentioned by the speaker, are being implemented, such as reservation. The historical injustice that we have done for 2000 years is sort of being rectified through these measures, such as reservations and all. Moving on, one of the other speaker mentioned that education is one of the best ways to correct this, to bring on the social justice. And through education, we can bring money and power and influence to those who have been deprived, and that way they can rise through the ranks, and this social justice can be achieved. I respectfully and humbly, I don't agree with this. Uh, I'll just give you an example of this too. A few years ago, I am not going to take the name. The UPSC civil service exams results came out, and the topper belonged to scheduled castes. Uh, he or she had to avail the reservation during the prelims phase of examination, but during the mains and the interview phase, he or she was the best performer in the country. And yet, when the results came in, since she used this reservation in the prelims phase, she was being taunted and humiliated by different sections and peoples of our society, the ignorant section that still exists to this day. Not to mention, the parents of the said officer were also very influential people. They were revenue service and in police service already. So even the economy and the education are not enough to bring on the social justice. The social justice can only be brought on when the insecurities among the people is being eradicated. Yes, education is one way to go, but even without education, I have met people who are free of these insecurities. And the only reason for that is because they have traveled a lot, they have met a lot of people, they know what these people face, they know the issues, they tell about the issues faced by them, and that's how they become liberal from their mindset. uh, then we have had many political leaders as well, many socialist leaders who are not very well educated, and yet they are very liberal and very effective too, might I add. The third thing that I want to mention is while this discussion has been going on, we have discussed a lot about the caste-based discrimination and also about racial discrimination, but we have omitted the topic of religious discrimination up until now. Maybe that's because we have a radical view regarding it. Maybe that's because we want to avoid discussing that topic. But I'll just try to speak a little bit about religious discrimination in the country. As Arfa mentioned, there have been a few incidences of discrimination with particular minority community, but that's not the only community being discriminated in India. That's what I wanted to point out. Uh, the community that is in the least amount in our country, and I'm not adding Zoroastrians to the list because they are not the ones being discriminated as of now. So I'll just speak about those that have faced discrimination. Jains are one of the minority communities. They are very few in number, and up until very recently, they were not even recognized as minorities. They were only recognized as another sect of Hinduism. That too, the recognition of identity is something that everyone is entitled to. And the Jainas were not given an independent recognition of their identity up until very few years ago. Similarly, the case goes for Sikhs in a lot of I won't say it is a generalized concept, but in few cities and a few rural places that I know of, during the 84 riots, the Sikhs were one of the communities in our country that were humiliated and targeted to a very large extent. That led to the Khalistan movement during that time. And even now, due to the few irrelevant sections of this community acting out in another nation. The Sikhs have been targeted here in India too. Very small percentage, I would say, but they have been targeted. Now, I'm not generalizing. I'm not a communist. I'm not a socialist. I'm a very center-oriented person, I would add. So I'll just bring out another topic too. I won't forget the Hindus also. Hindus have been oppressed in a lot of places in India. For example, Jammu and Kashmir. Uh, one of the films that released this year, the Kerala story, I think many of you might not agree with the story portrayed in the movie, but I'm not going to debate about the numbers set in the movie. I'm not going to debate about that at all. But the concept of radicalization, that concept too is a form of discrimination. That's what I want to. That's what I want to bring out. That as our preamble says, that we have and we are entitled to the liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, to all of these things. That means we are entitled to our own religion, and no one should influence it. No one should have the right to influence our liberty of thought, expression, belief, and faith and worship. But the radicalization by a certain terrorist organization has been going on in certain parts of our country too, and I think that too is a form of discrimination. So the religious discrimination, although it is a volatile topic to discuss, but yes, I think it is somewhat of a more relevant issue as of now, because it is something on the basis of which our country is most divided. So I think this point should be addressed a little more. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Harsh. Now next we have Ayush. So Ayush, would you like to go next? Ayush, are you there? I guess he is not present there. So Afra, would you like to continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. You may go up now.
Yes, ma'am. I was thinking of adding on my last talk, where I mentioned the religious discrimination of Hindus versus Muslims, but based on the previous person's speech, I don't know if I should. But let me just mention the facts, the events that did happen the past week. First, we saw 3 Muslim passengers were shot to death by a Hindu railway police force constable. And there was no action taken against the constable. He was claimed to be unstable of mind. So, and he hailed Hindu nationalist leaders, Narendra Modi and Yogi Adityanath. Then another event that took place, it was a Muslim minor girl. She was gang raped by Hindus, and her video was circulated by the Hindu men as an act of pride. Then one Muslim woman was assaulted. Her clothes were torn publicly by a group of Hindu men. And when a Muslim man tried to save her, he was almost lynched to death. Those Hindu men were shouting, it's our government's will, and it's our government, and we will do whatever we want. This is what was said. Then we also have 2 Muslim madrasa students. Madrasa is, I don't know if you all know, but it is an Islamic school. Those students, when returning home from a market, they were stopped and beaten by Hindus. And all of these videos are being circulated on the internet. So, and after that, we have a Muslim who was killed while 5 others barely survived a mob lynching. Then we have a mosque which was set ablaze, and Imam was shot dead by Hindus. And there was another mosque after that We have many such cases. Muslims are the only community being discriminated against. Yes, of course, we have discrimination against Jains, against Sikhs, but I'm saying that the major issue prevalent in today's society in India, in religious discrimination, it is Hindus versus Muslims, and we see that not much action is being taken against Hindus. Now, I don't blame any certain individuals, communities here, but I'm just saying that all of this is because of deeply ingrained values in the mindsets of people, that they act on the basis of their own thoughts. And like we saw, the people said, it's our government, we will do whatever we want. Like it I can't even I don't even know what I have to say on that. We clearly see how the discrimination, the religious discrimination, is prevalent here. So that's all I would like to add here. I'm just adding to my previous speech. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Afra. Thank you for bringing us these events in highlight. But I would also like to add that it's everyone's government. Next up, we have Ayush, since his network is back.
Okay, thank you, Samriddhi. I'm very sorry for the network issue. Am I audible, by the way?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you so much. So, when I spoke for the last time, I had stated the 5 forms of discrimination, which I think are the subparts. The first one was negative, where untouchability is promoted on a large scale, physical abuse is promoted on a large scale. The second one was positive, where reservation is promoted on a large scale. The third one was linguistic, where borders are created, boundaries are created on the basis of linguistic difference. The next one was geographical, where basically geographical areas are distributed on the basis of the thinking. And the last one I had stated was, I don't remember, whatever it might be. Okay, so I just remembered 2 more forms of discrimination. The first one I would like to state is, after those 5 forms, the first one I would like to state is political discrimination, where basically the first is political parties, where we have many political parties from India, like Bahujan Samaj Party, Samajwadi Party, Janta Dal, who basically kind of try to gain the seats in the government of the country by promoting that they are belonging from the lower caste. That is just the time period of the election days, and after the elections are carried away, they don't even look at the policies that the government is inculcating into the country. So this is what political discrimination is. A few years ago, a movie was released, which was Article 15, starring Ayushmann Khurrana. So that movie portrayed how political, involvement can lead to fatal discrimination, where basically, as far as I remember the story of the movie, I might be wrong, a few girls from lower caste had demanded an increase in their payment for doing a certain amount of work. So basically, they were physically abused by the politicians of that particular area, by the people of higher caste of that particular area. And those people who had physically abused those innocent girls were not punished for a certain period of time, even though many knew that he or she, like that particular person, has committed the crime, but he wasn't punished by the police because he was kind of politically involved. He had the power in that particular place. So this is how political discrimination can be fatal, and it can lead to instability in a certain area. The next one is cultural discrimination, where basically cultural assimilation is carried away on a large scale. I remember in 2019, when a new British prime minister or president, whatever they have, in 2019, a British prime minister
I guess Ayush, you're not audible. I think he's suffering from network issue. So
1897 in Australia as well. Sorry.
oh, you just had a temporary network issue. We were not able to hear you.
Oh shit. Till when did you hear me, by the way?
Like you were quoting something about cultural assimilation and all.
Okay. No issues, no issues. So what I'm stating is the last form I would like to state of discrimination. You can hear me right now, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So the last form, after political discrimination, which I had already stated, stating the example of Article 15 is cultural discrimination, where cultural assimilation plays a vital role. To state an example, in 2019, when a new British Prime Minister was elected, I don't remember his name, but when he was elected, the first thing he did was basically he took a people of a certain tribe which were belonging to the minority in Brazil, and those people were basically assimilated into the Brazilian society. And he made them understand that they are also equal to the Brazilian society. And he basically made them understand that they are also equal to the Brazilian society. And he basically made them understand that they are also equal to the Brazilian society.
Ayush, you are not audible again. So I would recommend you
Cultural.
to. You are not audible. I stopped hearing you from something around Brazil, like the
I
said
don't know,
leader
man.
called. Okay, uh, like connect from mobile data or something. I guess your
Okay,
Wi-Fi is
can you
not
hear me
working.
clearly, by the way?
No, your voice is breaking.
Okay, you can continue to the next participant. I'll just correct my network.
All right. Soham Mandal, you are up next.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak for one more time. So my statements will be in opposition to the statements given by others. I want to say that all throughout history, communities have flourished and communities have died. How can a community be secure knowing this? Obviously, they will be afraid. In fact, not being aware of one's community often leads to discrimination against that community. Divide and rule has been the rule of India ever since antiquity. Be it the invasion of the Muslims or the British, all happened because we are not aware of our communities and not united. This is not an India problem. World War I took place because communities went extreme on nationalism. By the way, when people of a country go in extreme on nationalism, it is considered nationalism. Otherwise, it's discrimination. Is nationalism bad? No, at least for the government and the people. India is today a union of states. The constitution says this. It is impossible and in fact bad to remove discrimination fully. Union of everybody is impossible. It would be good if we believe that we are Indians for the government, but wouldn't it be better if we consider ourselves humans first? Interstate discrimination often leads to war. Is war good? Depends on the perspective. Just an example, why should Bangladeshis not be given all opportunities in India? People will find it a problem for their pockets. Then why will the castes which pay the most to the government not want the resources back? We have to understand that removal of discrimination in the long term will surely be good, but not at least in the short term. We have to tread carefully. As I talked in my previous turn, urbanization can only help. We cannot just stop people from discriminating against each other. Even Abraham Lincoln thought of a solution between pro-slavery states and anti-slavery states where he compromised basic human rights. Even the owners were given money for freeing their slaves, while slaves are not given any. It is easy to point out which is good and which is bad, but it is difficult to implement it. If you make any mistake, you will simply be ousted from power. The debate will never help if violence takes over. I thank Synapse Society for giving me the opportunity, and I end my statements here.
Thanks a lot, Soham, for putting forward your views. Tanish, you are next.
I hope I'm audible.
Can you speak up again?
I hope I am audible.
Yes, but your voice is still a little hazy. It's not clear.
Okay. Wait, let me reconnect my microphone. Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible.
So I want to make a small point regarding after the my friend made Kerala story point. I want to say that the radical person or a group is radical regardless of any religion. Uh, let, let me give you some data. What you were referring to a certain organization that is radicalizing in India. Basically, United Nations recently did some uh, gave out some data that the least number of people getting radicalized by these terrorist organizations as per population, as per million people, if I would say like that, it is the lowest in India. Given that we have the second largest population of Muslims in the world, and that brings us to the point that also suggests us that radical organizations are present in every religion, be it Hindu also, where Bajrang Dal and VHP are also uh, radicalizing you of their respective religion, as well as Khalistanis who are radicalizing you for their respective religions, and Christian missionaries as they do. So it's not about a particular religion or a community. It's about radicalization and what they get from what certain group or organization get from radicalizing the youth, be it the power, be it the money. I'll conclude my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanish. So Ayush, your network is back.
Is it? Am I clearly audible?
Yes, you are audible now.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Very sorry for the interference. I don't know what's happening with my network for today. Okay, so I'll just repeat the points that I had stated last time. In my first turn, when I spoke, I had actually been speaking on the different 5 types of discrimination, according to me. The 2 more types that I would like to, state over here, as the opportunity has been provided to me, are political discrimination and cultural discrimination. Now, what political discrimination actually is? Basically, a movie had been released a few years ago, which is Article 15, where, basically the girls of a lower castes had demanded an increase in their pay, and they were physically abused by the politicians of that particular place. So this is how political discrimination can be fatal in terms of caste, religion, ethnicity, and race. Okay, this is what political discrimination is. And we know many political parties like Bahujan Samaj Party and Janata Dal who promote their agenda that they will be focusing on lower castes and lower tribes and try to gain more and more number of votes. Okay, so this is what political discrimination is. The next type that I would like to state is cultural discrimination. So to state an example, as I had already stated in the last time, but I had a network issue. In 2019, when a new British Prime Minister was appointed, he kind of, did a cultural assimilation on a large scale, where people of minorities from a particular region were converted into another major religion. Okay, they were basically converted into another major religion without their prior consent. So this is how negative cultural assimilation can be fatal. And this is what cultural discrimination is what I feel. To state a few more facts, Samriddhi, to clear it again, I'm audible, right?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, okay, thank you. So I would like to state a few more facts to what I stated. In 2021, as far as I remember, 50,900 cases of crimes were registered against scheduled castes. So this shows how criminal acts are being performed against the lower caste. This is how caste discrimination is fatal. And the crime rate was highest in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan at the same time. And there is also a statistic which states that there has been a huge decline in discrimination in urban areas, and there has been a huge increase in discrimination in the rural areas. Now, if you talk about the economic discrimination that I had stated, how economic instability is created in a particular region because of the discrimination between people on the basis of caste, religion, and ethnicity. According to the statistics, the average earning of self-employed workers in 2019 was rupees 15,800, around rupees 15,800 for people belonging to non-SC STs. Okay, like people belonging to open and OBCs. It was rupees 15,800. And it was rupees 10,500, around rupees 10,500 for the people belonging to SC and ST. So this is how, for open people, it's around 15,800. And for the lower caste people like SC, ST, it's around 10,500. This is how the economic difference of the wages can lead to economic stability of that particular region, which will hinder the GDP of that particular region, which will again hinder the GDP of the whole country. Okay, this was what I stated, the economic discrimination. Then as far as I know, to state a few more safeguards that have been created against discrimination in the Constitution of India, where Article 14 says that no person shall be denied treatment of equality before the law or the equal protection of laws within the territory of India. Then we have Article 15, which states that state shall not discriminate against any citizen on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, or any of them. Then we have Article 16 as well, which states that there shall be equality of opportunity for all citizens in matter of employment under the state. No citizen on the ground shall be discriminated on the basis of religion, caste, sex, and so on. Then we have Article 17 as well, which abolishes untouchability. We have Article 46 as well, which which states that which requires the states to promote with special care in the educational and economic fields for the weaker section of the people. We have Article 335, which provides the claims for the members of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes shall not be taken into consideration consistently with the maintenance of efficiency of administration in making of the appointments to the services and posts in connection with the affairs of the union or state. These are the few articles I knew. I guess Article 330 and I guess Article 332 as well somehow relates with the discrimination. These policies were made in the Constitution of the India against discrimination. I would like to state a few more facts, but I'll be stating them in my next turn as I have taken a lot of time. Samriddhi, you can proceed ahead to the next participant.
All right, we have Harsh next up.
Thank you so much. I just go through the points given by the speakers. To start off, I want to discuss a couple of points raised by Ms. Fatima and Mr. Oja. Actually, Ms. Fatima gave certain incidents about discrimination with the Muslim community. And yes, it is a prevalent issue. The Hindu versus Muslim is a prevalent issue because these two are the largest section of our society. That's why this is the most volatile of the issues. But what I am trying to say, additionally, Mr. Oja pointed out that radicalization has also been carried out by BHP, Bajrang Dal, as well as the Khalistanis, etc. My earlier point stated that the religious identity is a very personal thing, and someone trying to influence a specific individual's religious identity is a form of discrimination. Whether it is carried out by PFI, whether by VHP or by Khalistanis, all of it is a form of discrimination. I'm not generalizing it to a specific community. Every form of radicalization is a sort of religious discrimination. Now, Ms. Fatima pointed out 5-6 cases of Muslim discrimination. I'm sorry, I'm not that well aware of specific incidences relating to the discrimination. I do, but I want to just mention that rather than pointing out discrimination with Muslim, if we discuss the larger topic of religious discrimination, it would be better because we'll come to a unified solution to all the kinds of religious discrimination. And the solution is that we start to discuss and debate these things with each other so that we know about each other. Ms. Fatima, before started speaking, she mentioned, I don't know whether I should speak about this. I don't know whether I should say this. I think you should say these things. I think all the points that you raised, these should be invited, whether they hurt or not, whether they hurt someone or not. Because only by hearing you out and only by hearing me out can we start to understand each other, and these discrimination will start to subside and the understanding will start to prevail. Now, coming to another point, Mr. Mandal pointed out that in short term, I think, I'm sorry if I'm misquoting you, please interrupt me if I'm misquoting you, but I think you did say that in the short term, discrimination should not be eradicated. And why the largest section of the taxpayer should not get the largest section of the benefits? That's nationalism. When someone else does it, it's nationalism, and when we do it, it's wrong. If I am wrong, please interrupt me if I'm misquoting you. But if that's your point, I'll just like to mention that the nationalism that you're mentioning is not the nationalism of India. The nationalism that you're mentioning is the European concept emerged during the French revolutions. The Indian concept of nationalism is bringing the diversity together, bringing everyone on the same platform, eradicating discrimination. That's Indian way of nationalism given by all of our leaders during the political struggle. So, saying that eradicating discrimination or acting on discrimination in the short term is not the way forward. I think that's not right. I don't think I'll agree with it, because if there is discrimination, I don't know the exact words, but I think in his speech in A Tryst with Destiny, Nehruji mentioned it somewhere, that if there's one wet eye in the nation, the work is not done. The discrimination, till the discrimination exists, there will be wet eyes across the nation. And as far as I am concerned, I think if possible, we should eradicate it as less of a time as possible. If it's possible to eradicate discrimination tomorrow, if there is a way for it, yes, we should act on it. We should act on it immediately, because Indian nationalism speaks of equality before it speaks of majority. That's one thing that I'll mention. Finally, Mr. Khadge pointed out, he quoted Article 15 movie. He pointed out that there were 15,900 cases against scheduled castes. I have already mentioned that the historical injustice has been done, and we need to act upon these things. Yes, we need to act upon these things, but it just struck my mind. It just struck it, so I'll just give it out. Few of you might not agree with these things. Few years ago, if you guys remember, Supreme Court did away with the ST Act that is existing in our country. The Scheduled Caste, Scheduled Tribe Prevention of Atrocities Act says that when a upper caste citizen does some form of discrimination with scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, he will be arrested, and a non-bailable case will be registered. Supreme Court said that this was against the philosophy given in the fundamental rights. The bail is the right. Keeping someone in the prison is an exception. That was the theory. So I just pointed out that the laws, the positive discriminations, such as reservations, such as SC/ST prevention of atrocities, and not restricting to the caste specifically or the racial discrimination specifically, going ahead, the anti-dowry law, the domestic violence laws, all of these laws are a form of positive discrimination. They are very much appreciated, but there have been incidents of misuse also. There have been many incidences of misuse, in fact. The Domestic Violence and the Dowry Act that exists in our country, the current Chief Justice of India a few years ago said that these laws have been used as a way of legal terrorism. I'm quoting this term, legal terrorism. He used these terms for specifically these laws. So we all know the misuse of all these laws. So I think the positive discrimination that the government has put in place has to be rethought, has to be debated, and a better form of implementation has to be put in place. And even if these things are, even if the governments move on with these things, even if they are implemented in a better way, then too, these are not the solutions. I think the solution will come from the society. These are societal issues, and the solution will eventually come from the society and not from the government. The bottoms-up approach is the way to go. I'm discussing these things with you guys. I'm sure there are people from different castes and different religions here who will know me as a person better, who will start to maybe judge me more, but there will be a few of you who will start to respect me more too. That is how the society will grow moving forward. I think I've covered all the points I noted out. So thank you. If I have something else to say, I'll raise my hand again. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Thanks a lot, Harsh. Next, we have Ganesh Raja.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, before I'm beginning, I'm impressed with Mr. Harshvardhan Roy and the main host points. Caste, religion, and racial discrimination are started from many decades. which can't be changed in one day. We heard the stats and the incidents by the fellow participants about the three things. To make them zero, it's a time-taking process. With the reservation, many people losing their seats in prestigious institutions with little marginal score. So, firstly, our politicians should stop grouping the people under certain reservation systems when the elections are being held to pull the people towards them. When we see the manifesto of the political parties, it's based on caste-related schemes. So once a political party wins in the election, they just provide very countable number of seats to the low caste people out of all their seats to just show their publicity. So thankfully we are in technical age where most people doesn't care much about these things. Everyone speaks their experiences about the discussed topics. Some of may oppose my points and I may oppose to others' points, but everyone in this discussion is in their senses not to encourage caste, religion, and racial discrimination. We should help India to build better a caste, religion, and racial discrimination-free society. I appreciate Synapse Society for making a platform to share their views on the social issues. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ganesh. Next, we have Pradeep Mishra.
I'm audible, ma'am.
Yes, you're audible.
Before proceeding my points, I really appreciate that has our Ayush Bhai mentioned some of the point and has Harshvardhan and our previous fellow sirs mentioned that points and they are very well explained. I agree with that some points and other one thing I like to add on the points of said by respected our participant Afra that that particular community of Muslim facing generally the most of the discrimination. As he mentioned some of the incident that someone beating at the particular people and showing that I'm belonging this community and ruling party also this community doesn't give any action. Yes, I'm agree with that point. Yes, some the point. But one thing I like to ask them one question: how she's know that the people is beaten is belonging to particular community and the man who is doing these things are that particular community, and why are the things in that news are always showing that particular he is the particular community man and he is the particular community man and that's why he's facing this problem. Why these things are not in Manipur? When we consider a case of Manipur, we see that peoples in Manipur are facing various problems, but in the news doesn't highlighting their caste. They're showing these particular peoples are facing this problem. They are not showing that these caste of Manipur people are facing less discrimination, less problem, and these are more. These one are who doing things. Why? Do you think this is someone who in the third party which is participating and giving him some aggression in that particular community? When we see that in our news debates there are various communities political leadership and they doesn't they are talking about their community is the best and this thing is best. For example, they are taking a Muslim community, they are fighting with each other, but they doesn't meet with particular peoples. They doesn't caring. They are only for come here for vote. For example, we take it example for terrorism, which is generally we say that they are showing from Pakistan. When they come from Pakistan to cross border to come India, they need a specific type of suits or some shoes for their themselves safety guard, but they doesn't wear. They wear a particular attire which related to the particular community. Why they are taking their life risk? Because of that, this type of discrimination exists in our country, and people and the politicians talk about this country. They are knows that we are the biggest weakness of our country is our casteism division. If we are united, then we are nothing. We are happening in our lower level. We are happy with each other. But things we are facing problem when these elections are coming and the politicians sit and debate. The point they are debating is very critical, very sensitive, and which related to the particular community. I think this politicians making use because of our weakness of something is our division, our casteism. That's the point. One of the our participants are very well explaining various things about. We have talked about that how discrimination. I usually explain how is the type of discrimination. One thing I think he is missing, that the discrimination based on the looks. No one talking about the discrimination which is faces by the Northeast people and Arunachal Pradesh. For taking example, in that COVID-19 situation, these people we are coming in our metro cities because of their look. We are considering him. They are the Chinese. See how they are sees the situation, how they're feeling. They are not. If someone saying you are not from this country, you are from that country, which spread this virus. How's this feeling? And the most important things, the feeling of nationalism is more important than the feeling of casteism. That feeling, they are facing the problem. They are is more important than we facing a casteism in our particular society. I heard one case where the people does not complete her UGC, pursuing UGC degree in that Mumbai. Because of these things, the people generally said that you are from the Chinese and you are Chinese because of her look. How is this problem they are facing? But in debates, mostly people not talk about that point. They are coming and debates on the point which are very case sensitive and related to their particular community. We are just like Hindu Muslim. And we say the cases in the various Instagram and other social platform, the way they are presenting, that taking highlighting the particular community name. Why they did not say that he is the Indian people and he other Indian people he's beating and taking name other community. It is that more important. I think that our news media is also are participate with them and showing this feeling that to fight for our caste is in danger. This is a use by our third party, which is called politician, because of their use. That's the point. We have to be come on this set. We have come out from this set of like casteism, religion. We are united, and we on that understand that nationalism feeling is more important than these things, and we should raise debate on the points of like Northeast people. Because this is a very rare topic, no one knowing them, no one providing them such things. I think we have to be very come and unite and give him their give him their potential to them to come and show their talents. Because of this casteism, they can't come in the metro cities. They know they're saying that he's from particular community, they are Chinese. It is more important. We have to come out this mindset to come to overcome these situations. Yes, I mentioned my various points, and I end up this my point. If I'm saying something different than your point of view, you can also mention. Thank you, Synapse Society, for giving this opportunity to represent my point.
Thanks a lot, Pradeep. Next up, we have Ishant.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me for third time opportunity. I would like to add what previous speaker, one of the previous speakers, Soham, has stated. Soham has brought a very unique and practical perspective, like how groupism is not actually that bad. It has brought some positive aspects of groupism by taking example of nationalism, like how nationalism is important, how it promotes sense of pride, and also it protects us from foreign invasion. But I believe that the extreme form of groupism is likely to backfire, which I can take example of by taking the example of like extreme form of nationalism more likely to cause conflicts. As it is evident from the event in around 1940s and 50s that World War happened mainly due to the rise of the extreme form of nationalism in Europe. This nationalism, this kind of same principle can be applied to religion as well, as there nothing wrong with being pride, but if it is taken to form of extreme, it can promote discrimination. Extreme form of groupism promotes exclusion of a particular group, as well as their isolation of, uh, and as many a lot of people are likely to use it for political gain. So I believe that there must be balanced approach. No, there's extreme form of anything is harmful. That's it. Thank you.
All right, Ishan. I guess you are done. Next up, we have Ayush.
Yeah, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, thank you so much. I would just like to correct Mr. Harshvardhan Rai, to explain my point, what I had stated. So the example of the movie Article 15 I stated was an example of political discrimination. And the 15,800 example I had stated was the economic discrimination, where basically the people of the upper caste have an average income of rupees 15,800 and the people of lower caste have an average income of rupees 10,800. And nextly, I would like to continue with what I was saying. I had stated a few constitutional laws that have been created against discrimination, whether it is racial, whether it is facial, whether it is ethnic, whether it is caste. The first one was Article 40, which promotes that no person shall be denied treatment of equality. The next one was Article 15, which promotes, that the state shall not discriminate against any citizen on the basis of religion, race, and so on. The next one was Article 16, which promotes that there shall be equality of opportunity for all the citizens. The next one was Article 17, which promotes abolishment of untouchability. The next one was Article 46, which promotes the state to promote the special care in educational and economic sectors for the weaker sections. The next one was Article 355, which provides a reservation for the people of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in the maintenance of the administration of the country. And I had stated two more articles, but I wasn't 100% confirmed about those, but I just checked it on the internet. And Article 330 and Article 332, these two articles also promote, also were reformed in the constitution to be against discrimination. So what Article 330 and Article 332 basically are? So Article 330 and Article 332 of the constitution provide reservation of seats in favor of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in the houses of the people and in the legislative assemblies. Okay, as we have seen it many a times in the parliament and in the different forms of the sabhas in India. Okay, so this is what is being promoted by Article 330 and Article 332. Moving ahead, I would like to state a few government initiatives that have been created to stop discrimination. Okay, this is not my personal point of view. These are basically the government initiatives. So the first one are land reforms, where land reforms were brought for more equitable distribution of land and upliftment of the marginalized sections of the country. The next one was different amendments in the constitution that have already been stated by me. There were like some Hindu Dalits and Dalits who had converted to Sikhism and Buddhism. So basically, these Dalits were given the right of inclusion in scheduled caste. This was the amendment created in the Constitution of the India in 1956 and 1990, if I remember. I might be wrong. Then the next one was Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, which aims to mobilize youth to take up the skill training with the aim of increasing productivity and aligning the training and certification to the needs of the country. The next one I remember is a Sankalp scheme, which also deals with discrimination somehow. So Sankalp scheme basically is an outcome-oriented program of the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship with a special focus on decentralized planning and quality improvement. So these scheme, Sankalp scheme also somehow aims to the upliftment of the deprived section of the country. Then the next one I remember is Stand Up India scheme, where it was launched in April 2016, or I think it was April 2016 or May 2016, whatever the dates are. So the Stand Up India scheme aims to promote entrepreneurship at all grassroots level. Okay, in all the castes. So this is how Stand Up India scheme also led to the discrimination to be abolished. The next one I remember is Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, where basically it was to non-corporate small businesses sector through various last mile financial functions like banks, non-banking financial companies, and microfinancing institutions. So reservation was provided to the deprived section in these banking institutions for decreasing the economic instability. That's what Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana is. So these are basically the government initiatives I remember, and I have already stated the constitutional amendments that have been made in the Indian Constitution to abolish constitution, to abolish untouchability, to abolish different kinds of racial, ethnic, facial, and caste discrimination. And this was it from my side for this turn. In the next turn, I'll be speaking about my personal point of view on how we can avoid discrimination. Samriddhi, you can proceed ahead.
All right, Ayush. Next up, our last participant would be Harsh. After this, we would be wrapping up. Harsh, would you like to speak?
Thank you so much, Samriddhi. I just want to conclude all the points made from my end and from the end of most of the speakers. I just want to quote a few things. We have been discussing discrimination in general. The three specific discrimination we discussed are caste, religion, and racial. So rather than going on one by one, I want to bring up a very specific point. Mr. Khadge mentioned a movie, Article 15. It's one of my favorite movies. It's a very good movie, and I recommend everyone to watch it. And I'd just like to quote one thing from that movie. One of the depressed person says, हरिजन और बहुजन तो बन गए, बस जनगण मन में जन नहीं बनता. I'm sorry for speaking in Hindi because many of you might not be good with the language. I just translate that many of the sections of our society have not been considered an equal citizen, and that's the reality. But the solution to it was also given in the next dialogue only. The protagonist of the movie says that एक किताब है देश की, और उस किताब से ही तो चलेगा सब कुछ. That means that the one book for the nation, the Constitution of the India, it has the solution to all the problems, to all the discrimination. That book is what gives us the way forward. Quoting the Constitution, Mr. Khadge also mentioned Article 14. Article 14 mentions equality before law and equal protection of law. These two statements, they are very different. Equality before law means everyone is equal, and equal protection of law means unequals will be treated unequally and equals will be treated equally. That is, like will be treated like, and alike will be treated alike. So for example, let's say I do not have an eye. I have lost my hearing ability. Then I should not be treated on par with someone with capable eyesight and capable hearing. That's equal protection of law. That is one thing that is ensuring and will ensure equality. That is for the state to implement it. Another thing that is for the state to implement is Article 54, that is Uniform Civil Code, and it's a volatile topic. Many of you might have different opinions, but the premise of the Uniform Civil Code, the idea behind the Uniform Civil Code is what I want to bring out. The idea of the UCC is that of creating a unified structure in the country, creating a unity, a point of unity in the country. UK is united by the English language. England is united by the Protestant religion. French are also united by language. But India as a whole does not have that one specific factor of unity. We are a very unique nation, and Uniform Civil Code, I don't know if this specifically will be the way to go. I have my opinions regarding it, but the idea behind the UCC is creating that unifying factor. And yes, we might have to look more into that unifying factor, that specific unifying factor, what is it and what should be. But that idea should be accepted that we lack that one factor of unity as of now, and creating that will be a very good thing for us. I mentioned earlier in the discussion that I'll stay away from the political aspects of this debate. I'll stick to the societal aspect, and that's what I'll do. The final point from the Constitution will emphasize that societal aspect. Article 51A, Section B, the fundamental duty to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle of freedom. The ideas behind freedom was not to create a state in which discrimination exists in any form, not just the three we are discussing today, but in any form. The idea behind the freedom struggle was to create a utopia, was to create an India that can be an example to the world. And we have come a long way. I'm not going to ignore what we have done up until now. It is important to recognize the miles we have covered, the roads traveled by, but we also have to keep in mind the way forward too. That we still have a lot of job to accomplish. So, bringing out this point that the noble ideas of freedom struggle, I'll use an example here. I don't know how many of you have read the book Anandamat from Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. In Anandamat only, he has written the poem Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram has been in debates for the last 20-25 years in our country. The only reason for this debate is the lack of interpretation of that book. When you guys read Anand, it never says that Hindus should fight Muslims and stay united. No, it has a premise, it has a concept of Hindu versus Muslim in the book. But eventually, when you conclude the book, you'll get that the moral story was if Hindus and Muslims continue to fight, the Britishers are the one that will rule. That was the story in the book, and that is the reality even today. That if the discrimination continues, if the fightings and the quarrels continue, we are going to lag behind. There will be forces, there will be powers who will take use of these things and will try to undermine us, will try to put us on a back foot. It is important to note that the freedom, the ideas behind the freedom struggle have to be respected and have to be imbibed by us in everyday life. The government can do only so much. It's the society that has to improve. It's the society that has to take the next step. And the society, the only thing that the society needs to do is imbibe to the ideas enshrined in our constitution. They have to follow the fundamental duties. We talk about our rights. We talk about our rights every day. We fight about it, but we forget, we ignore the fundamental duties. And I think the fundamental duties, and specifically the one that I quoted, is something that can give us a solution going forward. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Harsh. Ayush, you want to say something?
Yes, I'm audible.
Not clearly.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, you're audible, but
Am I
your
audible
voice
now?
is jittery. Yes, now you're audible.
I mean, if I'm clearly audible, I'll proceed ahead, or else we can conclude. If I'm clearly audible, you can tell me.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just conclude my points, what I had stated. So initially I stated the types of discrimination according to me. The next thing I had stated some reforms in the Constitution of India, and the next thing I had stated was the policies that have been implemented by the government against discrimination. Now, to conclude, I would like to state a few steps for the way forward, what we can actually do. The first thing I would like to state is effective implementation of laws and policies. Okay, so effective implementation of laws and policies will be an action to protect marginalized communities such as Dalits, Adivasis, and so on. The second thing is education and awareness raising among the people, especially in the rural areas, to highlight the harmful effects of caste discrimination and the violation of constitutional rights. The third one is economic empowerment of the marginalized communities through the schemes that I have already stated, such as Stand Up India, PMKVY, Mudra Yojana, and along with second generation land reforms for more equitable distribution of land and a better economic stability. And the last thing that I would like to state for way forward is collaboration and dialogue.
Okay, so he has that network glitch again. I guess we would be wrapping up then. So we conclude today's meet. We effectively addressed the different forms of discrimination, and addressing caste, religion, and racial discrimination is a critical step towards creating a just and inclusive society where every individual has the opportunity to thrive regardless of their background or identity. So we wrap up today's group discussion. Thank you, all of you, for attending this discussion. And we would love to see you in the next one. We would communicate the results via mail or on the WhatsApp group on our various social media platforms. Thanks a lot, everyone.